The annual Nebraska Soybean Management Field Day is going on, so we're near Chapman, joined now by Dena Hensel with the U.S. Soybean Export Council, and she spends a lot of time, in fact, I think all her time, working on something very important to soybean farmers, aquaculture. So, Dena, I think before we get started, maybe people have heard a little bit about aquaculture, but really, what is that?
Aquaculture is actually the culturing or farming of aquatic species. For today's discussion, I'm going to call it shrimp and fish farming, just to keep it simple.
All right, so I know that aquaculture is something we've talked about many times, that the Nebraska Soybean Board, one of those groups that were kind of those early investors and continue to do that is what is a way to grow demand.
Absolutely. We're thankful for the research they've done over the last 20 years. It's allowed us to be able to do now what we do and use soy in aqua feeds globally.
All right, so as we talk about aquaculture and this global impact, where are some of the biggest customers for Nebraska soybeans in the world of aquaculture?
By a landslide, China. We started the aquaculture program there over 25 years ago, Ken.
All right, so China, we know the ups and downs of the rest of the soybean industry, but as far as, sales, are they on or off? But with aquaculture, is that pretty much somewhat a constant, or are we always in that battle for price?
I would say that's usually an issue, but soy is still more reasonably priced than the fish feed that's traditionally used. The quality of that has decreased and the price has gone up. So soybeans is a viable source and an excellent substitution for that.
I think one of the things we talked about before we did this interview was how aquaculture has continued to evolve. And it wasn't that many years ago that aquaculture was kind of if we have some leftovers or if we have some things, we can feed it to the fish. But now, really looking for what quality when it comes to their fish feed.
And Nebraska soybeans obviously do have that quality. They are looking for higher protein, the amino acids, and that's part of what makes it a better ingredient for aqua feeds, Ken.
All right, so let's just be honest. Let's look. This global economy isn't exactly where we want it to be. So probably makes your job a little bit more difficult in a sense of trying to find those markets. But I would guess you're still out there looking for those emerging markets or additional markets for not only Nebraska soybeans but U.S. soybeans all over the world.
We are. We actually have internally an area that focuses just on that, is market access. And that's part of what your Checkoff Soybeans program goes to, the United Soybean Board and other Checkoff national and state. So that's exactly what their objective is, Ken, is to make sure we continue to have markets to sell the soybeans into.
What's the best part of your job?
Getting to do this. Being out here with the farmers, honestly, there's a lot of other things that go into our jobs, but I love working with the farmers. They're hardworking people. They're usually people of faith, and they're family people, and that's who I want to surround myself with. So that's what I love about our industry, Ken.
Well, Dena, welcome to Nebraska, and thanks for coming.
I'm loving it. Thank you.
Dena Hensel with the U.S. Soybean Export Council. We've been talking aquaculture, soybean management field days near Chapman. I'm Ken Rogers.